Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Chimil Core Studio. Welcome to the show. So week 2 of Lost Caverns of Ixalan spoiler season rolls on, and we've got a bright, shiny new toy, and I mean literally bright and shiny. Let's jump into it. Chimil, the Inner Sun. I hope I'm saying that name correctly. I'm just going to say Chimil, okay? Legendary artifact for 6 mana. This is a Mythic, and my goodness, does this live up to Mythic expectations? First up, spells you control can't be countered. Gross, brutal, oh my goodness. Hey, blue players out there, too bad. I mean, I guess you got some like bounce counterspell things essentially, like Narset's Reversal or whatnot, but I mean, whatever bounce counterspells there are, sure. Other than that though, yeah, you're not touching my spells, okay? And on top of that, and perhaps more importantly, at the beginning of your end step, discover 5. Now again, a reminder, discovers a brand new mechanic that's kind of like, well, Cascade, and it says, exile cards to the top of your library to exile an online card with mana value 5 or less, cast it while paying its mana cost to run in your hand, the rest of the bottom library in a random order. Essentially, Cascade kind of with like, hey, you also could just decide not to cast this right away if it's not going to be good for you. Like again, if you hit a Wrath of God off the top of the library, and you're like, cool, I could cast this, but I've got 20 creatures in play and my opponents don't have any. Yeah, you don't want to do that, but sure, keeping it in your hand would be nice for a situation perhaps later in the game. So basically, yeah, a 6 mana, massive mythic spell that says, you're not stopping me. And also on top of that, I get free value, a ton of free value. Now, yes, you might hit something that, isn't, mana value 5, isn't a big spell. You might hit something that just costs 1 and you're like, oh, darn, but still, extra free things are not bad. And on top of that, of course, if you got ways to kind of set the top of your library, yeah, you could kind of manipulate this if you really want to. That being said, it's a big splashy effect, and Commander players absolutely love big splashy effects. And yes, there's Commander players out there who also love Cascade and kind of randomness and that kind of stuff. So I can definitely see this seeing a good amount of play. It's definitely not for every deck out there, but it's a pretty spicy card. I mean, it could definitely see play in decks that, well, maybe even have some kind of a finisher combo essentially that they don't want their opponents interacting with or stopping. So sure, maybe they've got some spells that they want to be able to cast in conjunction that can't be countered, so that could be one direction. But more likely, I think it'd be like, yeah, no, players just want to cast things off the top of the library for free is probably how we're going to go with this. And there's certain commanders out there, one very popular one especially, that absolutely love doing that. So we'll talk about those here in a little bit as well. Regardless, a very exciting card, one that I don't think will probably ever be budget. This is a mythic. This is one that is kind of in the sweet spot for commander players where just, yeah, it's right in the wheelhouse. It's like, you know what? This is kind of what commander players like. They don't like when their stuff is messed with. So again, the uncounterability is nice. And they also like just free value. So yeah, commander players are going to absolutely love this, I can see. So yeah, on this episode, I'm going to talk about some somewhat similar effects we've seen in the past, and then also commanders that definitely want to consider this one. So with all that said, let's jump into it. Now, when it comes to somewhat similar effects, at least for the countering part, we have seen some cards in the past that can protect your spells, but most of them are pretty specific. Now, like Allosaur Shepherd, an incredible card, one that is very low to the ground, can be game-ending too, but also it does say, hey, it can't be countered, and green spells you control can't be countered. So this one specifically can't be countered. Our brand new card can be countered, I guess, too, but once it's in play, obviously, this one protects specifically green spells, which if you're just in an all-green deck, yeah, it's even the same thing, essentially. But our new spell is like, hey, no, we stop all counter spells. Also, let's look at other ones that are pretty popular. Commander Destiny Spinner. Creature and enchantment spells you control can't be countered. That's a pretty wide blanket effect. That's like, yeah, you can't counter most of the things or all the things in my Enchantress-style build. But again, pretty specific. That being said, it does have a little utility as well. Not that this new one does not, because also, again, the free value you're getting. Rhythm of the Wild, yet another very popular card in Commander. It's $5 right now. Sheesh, Wizards, reprint that uncommon. Champion for 3 mana. Creature spells you control can't be countered. Also gives right, sure. Cool. But again, making it so that your opponents can't counter your creature spells, essentially, makes it so that you can just know that you have protection for that. Know that when you cast your giant creature, it's not going to get stopped. And so again, with all this free value you're getting for your brand new card, now all your things cannot be stopped. I mean, when it comes to, again, comparable cards, one that somewhat is like Lear Disciple of the Drowned. That being said, this makes it so that you also can't counter spells. It says spells can't be countered in general. So again, we have seen some more specific effects where it's like, okay, you can't counter these kinds of spells, or you can't counter all spells. When it comes to like, you can't counter just my spells, typically we don't see that, so it's a pretty cool effect. And again, just half of the pie, and the other half of the pie is free value, and Commander players love that. So yeah, let's talk about some Commander players that specifically want that. And the first one that definitely came to my mind is, well, yeah, Prosper. Players in Commander love Prosper. They love casting things from exile, they love free value, and they love treasures, and Prosper's like all these things and more. Prosper is a 1/4 Tiefling Warlock with Death Touch. At the beginning of your end step, exile top card of your library until the end of your next turn. May play that card. Basically, hey, you get Impulse Draw. And then on top of that, whenever you play a card from exile, you create a treasure token, so additional free value. So now you are getting, well, the protection for all your spells, which is lovely with Chimil. Chimil? Let's go with that. I can't remember if that's the name. I think it's Chimil. Let me know in the comments below. I feel like I'm mispronouncing all these things in this spoiler season. Regardless, now every single time you then discover off the top of your library, you're also casting spells from exile, so you're also getting even more treasures. You're all getting, you know, a free spell that you cast on the top of your library that can't be countered, and now also a free treasure every single one of your turns. Yeah, Prosper decks, again, if they can find a spot for it, because there's so many good cards in Prosper decks already, I'm sure you can find a spot for it. Definitely want to consider this one. Moving on, to say whether I count that, another part of this is to consider, well, this is a legendary card. This is a legendary artifact, so yeah, legendary tribal decks can definitely consider this one, and Sisay is a great one. 2/2 +1/1 for each other color among legendary perch you control. Pay Wooburg, search the library for a legendary permanent card with convert mana cost less than today's power. Get it right on the battlefield. So basically a commander that says, hey, get my power up just slightly, then start tutoring out massive things. So yes, this does not add to Sisay's power. That's okay. You've got other ways to do so. You probably also have like Black Blade or Forge, which can just get you there anyways for any of the spells in your deck. Go get it, bring it right into play, and all of a sudden, none of your spells can be countered. And then also, hey, free extra value off the top of your library. So free value plus a tutor commander. Yeah, that can be quite the deadly combination. Speaking of deadly, artifact commanders, yeah, Urza Lord High Artificer, a good example of that, obviously. 1/4 ETBs make a 0/0 cost construct that can also get bigger. Cool, good for you. Also, tap an untapped artifact you control, add blue. Basically, every single one of your artifacts is now a mana rock. Yeah, that's what makes this commander deadly. And also, you get random value as well. Pay 5 into it. Basically, shuffle your library, get a card at the top of your library, put into play. These kind of Urza players, it depends on the Urza deck, I should say. Like, you know, your high-end CDH, all that powerful, you know, 0 mana, everything build. Yeah, no, they're probably not going to want a 6 mana kind of, not janky, but, you know, different kind of artifact out there. It is obviously powerful and that can stop your spells from being countered, but also random value. Yeah, I mean, Urza decks might not win in that way, but there you go. I mean, I guess unless you go infinite mana, then yeah, you win by just getting all the random value, which is not random, then off the top of your library, because you just cast your entire deck. That being said, yeah, if you have like a lower power Urza deck that you're like, yeah, I just have a bunch of artifacts in there, just tap them, get a lot of fun things. You know, I like to spin the wheel with Urza, and you get to spin the wheel again with this brand new one to get random things off the top of your library. Definitely a big splashy artifact to throw in an artifact build. And then finally, when it comes to kind of randomness, yeah, I mean, Cascade decks out there absolutely love kind of that random nature of just getting value off the top of their library for not free. I mean, you used to cast a spell like Maelstrom Wanderer, 7/5 elemental creature control of haste, Cascade, then Cascade again. But yeah, it's an 8 mana giant creature that says, hey, let's bring some friends along that maybe cost 7 or less. And then also, hey, if you hit this brand new card, now all of a sudden your spells can't be countered. And then also, now you get to kind of Cascade again, you know, with that basically. I mean, Discover is kind of like Cascade. So yeah, again, when it comes to this kind of a brand new card, I mean, you've got artifact decks that can utilize it. You've got, you know, commanders that care about, you know, exiling and casting things from exile. You've got Cascade commanders. You've got legendary tribal. There's a lot of different kinds of commanders, and also just kind of like big dumb spells tribal as well. Can definitely use the cards like this. And of course, on top of that, I guess I should mention again, if you have, you know, a certain combo that you work with or whatever, and you really don't like your opponents messing with your stuff, yeah, this is also just a way to say, hey, I get free value, but also my opponents can't counter my things as well. So yeah, there's a good amount of decks out there that can definitely utilize this kind of a card. But now this episode is coming to a close, it's my turn here from you. So in the comments below, let me know what your thoughts are on this one. Yeah, it is quite spicy. It is a card that, again, I wish would be budget friendly. It probably never will be. Again, it is a mythic, and it definitely lives up to that mythic name with what it does. Again, hey, none of you can counter my spells, and also I get free spells off the top of my library. Lots of free, lovely value that can be random, or again, you might have ways to set the top of your library, so it's not as random, but yeah, you can do some pretty crazy things with this one. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on it. Make sure you're staying tuned to this channel for more exciting quick takes and spoilers coming out, and of course, as always, thanks again, and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.